Welcome to the Coyote Curling Club here in Tempe, Arizona. There's our virtual walkthrough. This used to be a factory that made the fuzz for the tennis ball company Penn. You walked in here, this was a foyer. You walked over here. Out there where you see the ice, that was the factory floor. And where you see these windows, there was actually 4 offices that we tore down. They were probably 15 by 15 offices. And we made this our warm room. ADA compliant, of course. Here's how this is kind of our donor wall. Where's the plaque? Here we go. So gold level 25,000, silver 5,000 to 25, copper 1,000 to 5,000. And then in kind is the clear ones. We did this to try to raise some money for the capital expense of renovating this club, or I guess renovating this building to make ice. Let's take you to the back and we'll work our way to the front. Here we are, we got 4 sheets of prime ice. We took advantage of the WCF rock loan with Kei Sugihara. Had we known what we know now, we would have made the actual rink size a little bit bigger. A little bit of science. I was always thinking, we have to wait for we have to prevent the heat from coming in, but actually you are trying to prevent the cold escaping to the heat. So this wall, this is our southern wall. It was just your typical cinder block construction. We actually made that to an R rating of 21, I believe. It's actually about 18 to 20 inches thick now, full of vapor barrier and insulation to prevent the coolness from leaving this building to go outside. We've got temperature gauges everywhere. Here's what we have in our building right now. It's 37 with 32% humidity. So we have 4 sheets. That wall that you see there with the sound panels did not exist at some point when we first got it. We can take down that wall and go an extra 4 sheets if and when the time permits. The ceiling, we were fortunate. That's a corrugated concrete. Because it's low enough and concrete, we were worried about the thermals coming in. In most curling clubs, you'll see what's called a low E ceiling. That's the stuff that looks like aluminum foil, and that's to keep the thermals coming in from the heat coming in from the outside in. So here we got the Ice King. We've got the built-in chiller blade. Thank you to Art Sutherland from Accent Refrigeration, who helped us with all of this. And again, when we built this club, there was nobody on the planet who knew how to build a curling club in a desert. So we, on paper, had to pencil out what was the right amount of space to have 4 sheets, because we didn't know what our electrical bill was going to be. We didn't know any of that because there's no other information. So we had to spec this out all on paper. But knowing what we know now, we would have obviously made this walkway's 3 feet. We would have probably made that 6 feet. We have those houses are regulation, but we did shave the sides of the sheets by like 2-3 inches, just to make sure, and that's well within the WCF allotment for sheet sizes. But we wanted to make sure we fit in between. You see those 4 pillars that go down the center of the building. We want to make sure we had everything enclosed within this area. But again, of course, if we doubled this, we wouldn't have the Ice King just sitting out there taking up room. And you can see we don't have a lot of benches or things on the backboards, and we trying to kind of keep that a little bit, trying to be clean, trying to be minimalist a little bit, because obviously if you got more room, you're going to use it. here we go. And of course, this is sort of going back into our ice, you know, where the ice makers are. Obviously the ADA ramp, we got to be compliant. Obviously you can see here, we've got probably what's that, 25, 30 feet from end to end. So we certainly had enough room to push this wall out a good, you know, 6-7 feet. But again, at the time, we didn't know how big the chiller was. Here's what we do for DI water. We get these in from, you know, Pure Tech, and we had Culligan for a little while. But we bring these in as we need them. When it's a big flood, we get them in there. It's pretty cheap in Arizona, but I would imagine wherever your club is, you could probably find DI water. And you can see we've got them daisy chained, and then we've got just a portable heater so that when we pebble, we put the pebbling can here. We've got the hot and cold. We've got all of our pebbling supplies. Don't bother getting jet ice. Jet ice is a bit of a gimmick, so don't bother. Just get DI water. Here is our refrigeration unit. This here, we run ours at 23 degrees right now. And this machine, again, thanks to Art and Accent Refrigeration, Art custom made this for us so that it would last in the desert. And this does have the capabilities, it's glycol fed, but it does have the ability to do up to 10 sheets. So it can expand. And we've had it for 8 years now, and there's been no problems. There's the big tube going outwards, and it goes through the wall out to the sheets. But this is it here. So this is, probably for your capital expenditure, the ice plant, or the refrigeration unit is going to be the most expensive part of it, a very important part of it as well. So try to think as much as you can long term, because you don't want to buy something that's not scalable. Let's see if I can get out this door here. And again, this is all, we sublet the other half of the building to a tile company. So you can see that's what they have. And this was a manufacturing plant, for the green fuzz for tennis balls. So that's why we got the loading ramp and the dock and whatnot. So the tile guys really find that handy. Down here is the cooler. So think about your space, where you're gonna put it. And note to self, these have to be cleaned out like your rain gutter. So if you have a lot of, trees in your area, make sure, because all of those are just turbines in there. Yeah, that's what spinning around. That's what the water goes through to cool off first before it goes into the refrigeration unit. But make sure you don't have a lot of trees around, or if you have a monsoon or a big storm or a lot of leaves blowing, make sure that you remember to come and clean it out, or else it'll stop. And once it stops, your ice is going to stop being icy, and then that's like a problem you learn once. So, and of course over here, yeah, you can't really see it, but this is all of the rest of the building that's been sublet out to these tile guys. So again, this is probably 10, maybe 11,000 square foot total. And we've got the other larger half for the curling club. Again, we could have probably used the space better when we were building, but again, we didn't know how big the refrigeration unit was. And then based on your city code, you're gonna have to have so much room around it and access to it. So think about that. Getting back out here, we had to do a sound, like a grant to get these sound panels. In this size of environment, because of the low ceiling, relatively low ceiling because it's concrete. If you were in a normal room, sound will travel typically, 12 to 15 times. If you're in your living room or your kitchen and you're talking, and it's tolerable. We found in this particular setup, because of the concrete, and we had to actually have somebody from the university come in and do a sound test on it. Sound would be bouncing up to 30 times back and forth, so you could not hear. I cannot be, at this house talking to anybody at the far house, and even with just me and that other person here, they would have no idea what I was talking about. So it was important that we got these sound panels, and even when we're taking out the sound panels at the end of the year, because we run from mid-September through to mid-July, and then we break down for 8 weeks. But when we take out these sound panels, you'd be just amazed. You wouldn't even be able to hear me talk to you right now. And the voice is, my phone's only 6-7 inches away from my mouth. Also things to consider, duct sock. We have a duct sock here. It's 100% permeable. Currently we have a bit of a situation where our ice is just a little bit dipped. It's a little bit concave here in the middle because of the air volume coming out of here. The problem, or the reason why we have so much air volume, is that the city of Tempe, when we built this place, didn't realize our dehumidification system that's on the roof, that's run by natural gas, is what's that diameter? That's probably like a 34 to 36 inch diameter opening. We really only need, if you go to other clubs, you'll see they have a diameter of maybe 18 to 22 inches. So that brings in the hot air to get the moisture out. But the problem is that when we built that, because the city of Tempe says, well, based on so many square feet, so many CO2 versus H2 air in this part, this building, you could have 250 people in here. Let's say you're doing a bake sale or a cookie or a book sale or something, or pickleball. And we're like, no, you're only gonna have 50 people in here. They weren't buying it. They didn't want to have anybody pass out because of CO2. So they made us get that. And before we had the duct sock, we had so much air coming out of there, it was blowing up against sheet A and going down right by the hog line and eroding it. So we had to quickly get the duct sock. So that duct sock was probably $5,600, $6,000. So make sure, if you are retrofitting a place or building new, a duct sock typically is necessary. So plan for it in your CapEx plans. Okay. When we first got here, we spent every dollar we had. And so what we wanted to do, because we aren't two stories, we wanted to make sure that the ice was the show. Our thought was, like there's a lot of golfers in this club, and nobody ever goes to a golf course and go, wow, what a great lobby, what a great restaurant. What they will tell their friends is if they have a bad time on the green or they have a bad time on the fairway, that's going to be the telltale sign of if you're going to go golf there again, not the clubhouse. So we spent all of our money on the ice. We spared no expense. We paid extra to get the floor to ceiling glass because we wanted people when they walk in, excuse me, to be sort of taken away with, wow, look at that, that's curling, that's awesome. For the first 3 years, we actually had donated couches from a few businesses that were going under. We had tables and chairs. We have a couple of restaurateurs in our club that donated that for us. So we had, and really the first year and a half, we had the spools, those big spools you'll see, because we did the tubing with the glycol. Those were our tables for the first year and a half until, we got money, and it really paid off dividends. Think about it, it's the first time you leave, you know, your parents' house to go to college. You don't have a lot of money, so you do what you can, you know. And that's what we did. And every year we do, you know, this last year we did the floors. The floors used to be just kind of like scraped concrete, but we did sort of that, you know, concrete coating with the flex. And then here from where I am at now to the kitchen to the front door, it's probably over 100 feet, 130 feet maybe. And the width is probably, well, what are we at here? So about 35 feet from end to end. And of course, you know, we've got the 2 monitors overhead. We did the horizontal orientation simply because we didn't have enough money at the time to redo the roof. Our long-term plans is to pop out all of these ceiling tiles and do what kind of most bars and breweries do these days, but just painting everything black and redoing the ductwork. But we're not there yet, so that's why we have that configuration as well. Because this was a factory, we do have a kitchen. We do have a great big kitchen actually, which helps us for our bonspiels. We probably won't make this a full-fledged kitchen. Like when it comes time to bonspiel, we need to cook stuff. We bring in a lot of slow cookers, a lot of heating pots, things like that. But we want to really avoid the government coming in here. That's why we don't want to get our food handling license just yet. You know, we'd love to be able to, you know, cook, you know, pizzas or have like a spaghetti night or a turkey dinner. But we don't want that hassle just yet because right now, you know, our board sort of thinks that once we get the government in, you know, we'll never be able to get them out. So one less problem to have. And of course, think about this was a factory. So here's sort of the, you know, the hallway to go to the bathrooms. These were big gang style bathrooms. Think about any kind of industrial bathroom you've ever been to. So we had to, you know, we left this one because this one had the, we didn't have to do any ADA changes to this room here. You know, I already had the urinals and whatnot. So we made this, you know, we put some hooks up, some benches, and we kind of left this alone. And then we went, and you can get online and ship to you via YYC or any other kind of shipping. But we got these lockers so that club members would have a place to change, and obviously the men can go in there if they want. This here is going out to the back. Anybody here? Nope. This here's the executive lounge for the ladies. They kind of scored out with a big spot, so we left them with quite a large space to, you know, do what they want to do in here and talk about curling and the boys and stuff. So anyway, nice and big for them. And most of the club members, you know, they grab their stuff here, go into the locker, grab all their stuff, go into the change room. And it's just a big square. You come back out here. These were existing bathrooms. And we did have to retrofit these. You can see where there used to be a urinal and then a toilet, but we had to make these the ADA bathrooms. So keep that in mind. And what we did is we just took out the urinal and the stall that was here and just made it like this for ADA, which is compliant. We did that on both sides. So 2 ADA bathrooms. But again, we've got no shortage of bathrooms. We've got these two. These are pretty much what the public uses. You know, we've got obviously some literature, you know, some league information right there. Here's where you pick up your badge if you're a new member. Then we get to the good stuff. This here was a room that we've now kind of appropriated to be our bar stock. Lots of time spent in here. We may at some point maybe make this a cold room. insulate it, put a air conditioning unit in this room, and because it's your typical room, what is it, 15 by 10 kind of thing, and then maybe put some taps, put some kegs back here. But right now it's a really good room that we've got. We've got the lock mechanism there, so you can lock it so it doesn't go take a walk. The reason why we have that is because we created the Broken Broom Lounge. We bought that fridge for $4,000. We did just have your regular, fridge from your home or your garage, but we found that doesn't keep cool if you go into it fast enough. Part of our, sustainability campaign is I created these. We're big into Moscow mules for a little while, but we kind of made these mugs because we found that we were going through red Solo cups like crazy. So fortunately, most of the big drinkers have a cup, so it's actually a way for us to kind of keep the cost down a little bit as far as the bar revenue goes. We've obviously got some TVs hung up so we can stream. We've got the Apple TV so we can stream the YouTube, or we can get ESPN, we can watch the Briar, the Scotties, all that. So we can do that from the Broken Broom. Myself and another club member built this bar for $600, and it was the only thing we had to do is make sure that you could dance on it, which we can certainly do. But we made it specifically to fit this corner. So this is what we call sort of the Broken Broom Lounge. We don't have any taps. Again, as soon as you get the taps involved, then you got to get the health inspector and the city out. But we actually have, we're a 501c3. We do have a club liquor license, which I would think most curling clubs would have that type of a private license. So that would be my recommendation. Only because it's cheap, relatively easy to get. Most states and most counties only have a certain amount of restaurant or regular liquor licenses to hand out, so they certainly have a lot more club licenses to hand out than that. So that'd be my recommendation there. But again, we built this just out of necessity, built it good enough to do the job. Not so well that if we want to push this to the curb and put a match to it to upgrade, we're not gonna hurt anybody's feelings. So far it's been good, and of course, our motto is the Broken Broom, where there's never a bad shot. Well, for the most part that's accurate. Okay, here we go. Here's a conference room that we had. This is sort of our temporary storage for bonspiels and themes. When we host our Golden Wrench Classic, our big ticket tour event, we pull these out so that we have extra capacity. And we do meetings in here. This is sort of like a utility room. We have some old rocks there that we use for demonstration, but we have been talking about maybe breaking this wall down. If you remember, that's the Broken Broom Lounge right here. And what we did find is that all of these walls aren't load bearing. They just go up past the ceiling tile. So we could actually knock this down and either relocate the Broken Broom Lounge so that it's completely over in this area, or redo this area and make it more of a lounge sitting area, maybe for meetings. Not sure. But again, we don't have a clear plan as to what to do. As any new club will tell you, you go in with your best plan, and you have to just give yourself time for the club to mature. We could have, when we first got here, we could have broken down this wall and pushed our way back, but we wanted to say, okay, let's have a priority. The first priority has to be the ice, then it has to be the bar, and then we have to make it comfortable for the membership. So we put in a pro shop. It's a little bigger than we need. We're probably going to scale this back But again, this was an old office that, we put in some of the, typical retail hardware on the wall. We stock lots of stuff in here. And you can see we're kind of in the process here of figuring out what to do with it. Like I say, we're gonna take this down a little bit. We don't need all of this area, and we're gonna maybe try to repurpose it. But again, made it functional. Made it functional. And then over here we've got another change room, some more lockers. This here, this red satin velour material, this used to be our old couches. These are the ones we got for free. Most curling clubs, have a rolling bucket, a rolling garbage can on wheels. We found that putting these up on the wall with little pegs was a good idea. And it kind of looks artistic, I suppose. So when we do learner curls, we say, hey, go in here, grab a broom, grab whichever one matches your eyes. And I guess the other positive thing about this, you can see we got like little rubber pieces on the end of those dowels. It actually keeps our brooms from getting smashed up. So, because if you've been to any curling club that has a bucket, you see they just get shoved in there, and they get beat up pretty bad. And then so we've got another ladies' change room here. Again, same setup. This is the same furniture. A few more lockers, and these lockers here. The interesting with these ones, these are half size, because some people don't need a whole lot of room. So you can certainly think of, certainly just think of little half lockers, if space is a premium. But again, we're thinking of probably getting rid of these because you can see they're 2.5 feet wide. We're thinking of maybe getting rid of all of these and making something a little bit more user-friendly, maybe like hawker style type lockers, where people can sit, maybe put their shoes and whatnot underneath the seat, underneath the bench, hang up their jacket. But again, that's for a different day. And because we are so close to the warm room and the action, we do have this kind of courtesy shield that we put up in case the door gets opened up, so nobody can see in. And so anyway, just little things to think about. And then finally, we have this office here. This is ground zero. This is, obviously all the paperwork for the club. We could do a better job organizing, of course, but we've got, files and books and, kind of our historic library center. We've got our streaming platform, audio visual for the ice, another PC set up for, club management, answering emails, things like that. Again, this here was donated by a club member, so we've got a lot of point of sale stuff. And you can see, because we don't have a club manager, this is a real communal area. So every now and again we come in here, clean it up, get it organized, and then wait for it to get back to this spot. So we could do a bit better of a job with this. But again, it's functional. And we're currently at a spot where we don't have any paid members. We just have, everybody's doing it 100% volunteer for the love of the game. Our ice maker, we sent him to Canada. He's originally from Edmonton to learn how to make ice. The board's 100% nonprofit. They're not paid. We don't have a club manager just yet. We really wanted to get into the black, pay off all of the loans we had before we decided to go and pay somebody, 50 to 75K a year to be a club manager. So once we can get to that point, we will then, maybe have a little bit different setup in the office. But that is sort of the quick and down and dirty discussion about the Coyote Curling Club. and what we've done, maybe some ideas. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you want, you can certainly reach out to me, Daryl Horseman. My phone number is 602-300-4808, or you can email me at darylhorseman@gmail.com. I'd be happy to discuss building ice and curling with you. So with that, good curling, and we will see you again.